Millionaire sees a little girl scrubbing the restaurant floor with wounded hands and breaks down when he hears what she says. She was scrubbing the floor with raw fingers, her blood mixing with the scent of white truffles and gourmet sauces, but no one noticed, or pretended not to, until he stopped and forgot how to breathe. The whole restaurant moved to the cold rhythm of cutlery and muffled laughter, while she, kneeling near the kitchen entrance, cleaned an invisible stain with the fury of someone trying to erase her own story. The dirty water had turned red, but she didn't stop. Her thin fingers moved with sharp bones showing beneath broken nails. And still, she scrubbed. The man in the dark grey suit noticed her before the blood. He saw the mechanical motion first. The frail frame, hair tied back with a cheap supermarket band. She didn't belong in the setting, and that unsettled him. He stopped 2 steps away. "Why are you doing this?" She didn't look up. "Because my mum says he could show up any minute." "Who?" She raised her eyes, deep, dark, filled with something ancient. "My dad. He comes here for dinner every 7th. I clean because he likes to see everything sparkle." It was like air caught in his throat, like someone had yanked his lungs out. A waiter called his name, but he didn't hear. All he could see was the girl, her knees scraped, saying it all with a calm that hurt more than a scream. But there was something he didn't know yet. The girl went back to scrubbing, like every motion was a prayer, like the blood was part of the ritual. He crouched down and still in his suit, not caring about the wet floor, and sat beside her. "How old are you?" 7. "I'll be 8 next month. But if he comes before then, maybe he'll take me with him." She said it without drama, like reciting an old promise. The maître d' walked over, visibly annoyed. "Excuse me, sir, she's not supposed to be here. She's a favor from the kitchen. Her mom works here nights, and the girl helps after finishing her homework." The millionaire didn't get up. "And who approved this?" "The owner. Said it was better than leaving her alone out on the street." Silence. Thick, heavy silence, like everyone in the restaurant felt the same knot in their chest. And then everything broke. The girl stopped scrubbing, pressed the sponge to the floor and said, "I know he doesn't remember, but my mum swears he saw me being born." Her voice came out low, like a memory stuck in her throat. She said he cried when he held my little hand for the first time. The millionaire was now staring at the floor, not at the blood, but at the reflection. His own face, his own eyes there, in the dirty marble, and for the first time, he was afraid of himself. "What's his name?" he asked, barely breathing. She didn't hesitate. "William Carter." The world collapsed. The ground gave out. His heart raced. He was William Carter. And then he heard her say, "My mom says that if he ever remembers, he'll come back, and he'll take me home." She smiled, like she really believed it. He tried to stand, but his knees wouldn't move. He stayed there, eyes filling with tears, unsure. If it was pain, shame, or something else he didn't have a name for. The lights in the restaurant flickered softly. Outside, the night went on, indifferent. But inside him, something had cracked, and there was no more pretending he didn't see. He didn't remember. Not any poor woman, not any child, not a name spoken between sheets or screams or silence. But her name, said there on the dirty floor, was a blade straight to the chest. William Carter was the kind of man who could halt a stock deal with a tilt of his head, who made cold, precise, perfect decisions. But there, kneeling in front of that little girl, something inside him was tearing apart. And it wasn't logical. The maître d' pretended not to notice the tear hanging from the corner of his eye. The guests glanced over, but without really seeing, like it was all too uncomfortable to process. He tried to pull himself together, tried to stand, wipe his hands, straighten his suit. But the girl's voice stopped him again. "Do you know him? Have you ever seen my dad?" Her eyes were a mix of hope and childhood. He didn't answer. He couldn't. What would he say? That maybe among so many forgotten nights he had created a life he didn't remember? That maybe he'd left behind a woman in pain and a child with faith? But there was something the girl didn't know yet. He walked to the bar and asked for a glass of water, but he didn't drink it. He just held it, hands trembling. The memories began to trickle back, like dirty water down a clogged drain. He remembered a young waitress, brown-skinned, very young, in a simple restaurant years ago. She didn't say much, but she had a beautiful laugh, and one night, yes, it had been just one night, but now there was a daughter. He came back, found her already picking up the bucket like she did every day. "What's your mom's name?" he asked. "Clara. Clara dos Anjos. But you probably don't remember." She says important men forget fast. The words hit like a slap. Simple, no anger, but precise. William swallowed hard, looked at his watch, like time could save him. But this wasn't about time. It was about presence, about absence, about debt. "Does she still work here?" The girl nodded. "Only at night. She said today. She's more tired than usual, but she still came. And does she know you told me all this?" "No, but I prayed today would be the right day." She said it smiling, like God had answered, and then something cold crawled up his back. What if she didn't want him there? What if the pain had been too much to forgive? The girl took the little rag she'd been using and placed it in his hands. "Want to help?" He froze, looked down at the tiny dirty cloth, soaked in the blood of a child. And he understood. That was the price of his absence. He knelt again, started scrubbing the floor beside her, without a word. And at that moment, Clara appeared. She was coming from the kitchen, face tired, hair hastily tied, apron stained. When she saw the scene, she stopped, her body locked. "William?" He looked up. So did she. There wasn't anger in her first look. There was shock, a pain pulled from where it had been buried for years. The girl didn't notice. She kept scrubbing, focused, like she didn't want to miss her chance. I didn't know," he said. "You didn't want to know, William. That's different, but something—" In her voice trembled, an echo of an old love not quite dead. The girl looked up, saw them, smiled. "I told you he'd remember," and for the first time, Clara looked at her daughter with a love so intense it hurt. But nothing was resolved yet. The floor was clean now, but the air between them held all the dirt the years had hidden. William slowly stood. Clara remained still, arms crossed, like shielding her chest from an old fire. She told you everything?" Clara asked, voice steady. "She told me enough to break me," he replied. The girl ran into the kitchen, maybe for more water, or maybe to escape the weight hanging in the air. Clara didn't take her eyes off him. He looked different now, bent, less arrogant, but still dangerous. He had always known how to convince. "I didn't look for you because I thought it was just one night, and it was, and then. But from that one night a life was born. And she was never just a thing, William." Clara's voice was sharp, cold, fair, almost maternal, but then she said something he didn't expect to hear. "I left, on my own. No address, no warning. I thought it would be better. Why? Because you came from a different world. And I didn't want her to become just another scar in your pile of throwaways. She said it with teary eyes, but not a single tear fell. William took a deep breath. It hurt to breathe. "I can make this right." "No, Clara." She waited 7 years, William. 7. 7 birthdays, 7 dates, 7 times she blew out candles just wishing you would show up. The silence got heavier, and in that moment everything crumbled. And now that she saw you, she's going to believe that's how the world works, that if you just wish hard enough, it happens. She looked down. "And when you disappear again?" "What do I say? What kind of pretty lie will I have to come up with this time?" The girl came back, holding a new sponge and a plastic cup of soda. "Here, mister, drink. You're sweating." He took the cup with both hands, like it was sacred, and he cried. Without shame, without a shield, right there in front of her. But there was something Clara didn't say. She still loved him, not like before. Not with the youthful desire of someone waiting for a savior, but with the pain of seeing a part of the man who left her, in the face of the daughter he never knew, and learning to love that part, even while hating the absence. "Let me try," he said, for the 3rd time. "Try what?" "To be someone. Not a father yet, not even a friend, just someone who doesn't run away." Her eyes softened, but she didn't let go. "Do you know how to do that?" He didn't answer. Just looked at his daughter, now leaning against the wall, drawing something with her soap-streaked finger. "What are you drawing?" he asked. "A heart." "Why?" "Because I just saw one," she said, and pointed at him. And then everything stopped. The maitre d' approached again, hesitantly. "Is everything all right, Mr. Carter?" William didn't respond. He just held his daughter's hand. She didn't pull away. Clara watched the scene, and something inside her began to crack. "Come back tomorrow," she said. "What?" "At 6 p.m. If you come back, you can clean the floor with her again." "Is this a test?" "This is the bare minimum," and she turned her back, disappeared among the servers the same way she had for years, with forced grace, pride, and hunger. The girl squeezed his hand tighter. "Do you think you'll come back?" "I'll try." Trying isn't the same as coming back. She said it like someone who understood more about promises than any adult there, and in that moment, he understood. The biggest obstacle wasn't the past. It was what he'd do now. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and don't forget to leave your like. The clock read 5:58 p.m. when he stopped in front of the restaurant door. He wore a simpler suit, not the usual armor of an untouchable man. His shoes were clean, but the shine was humble. For the first time in years, William Carter looked small. He walked in without being announced. The maitre d' saw him, hesitated, but said nothing. Clara was still in the kitchen. The girl wasn't there. He waited 2 minutes, 3, 5. Time seemed to mock him. Then she appeared, wearing a new apron, smiling like it was Christmas morning. "You actually came?" Smiled back. "Of course. I said I'd try. Trying isn't presence, but presence is trying." She repeated her mother's words with the precision of someone who turned them into armor. They started scrubbing together again, now with 2 buckets, 2 cloths. But something had changed. He looked into every corner, every stain, as if it was sacred, as if he was cleaning what he had never seen before. "My mom said if you come again tomorrow, she'll let you pick me up from school." He froze. "She said that?" "She did, but only if you come back tomorrow too." Another chance. Another thread of trust. But there was something he didn't know. In the kitchen, Clara watched through a crack in the door. Her hands trembled, her doubt alive. She wanted to believe, but she knew too much about people leaving. William finished the impromptu cleaning shift and said goodbye with a kiss on his daughter's forehead. He didn't ask which school she went to. He didn't push. He went home with sore knees and a chest full of questions. The next morning, 11 a.m. sharp, he stood outside the public school. He asked for the girl at the gate. The principal hesitated. "And who are you to her?" "A man trying to learn how to be a father." She looked into his eyes, saw the truth, and allowed it. She walked out of class with a huge backpack and 2 messy buns in her hair. "You actually found me, Esti." "I did." "Did you bring snacks?" He hadn't. He'd forgotten. Felt the weight of that slip. "We can go buy some now." "My mom says when a man makes too many promises and delivers too little, he becomes a bad memory." The words hit like an arrow. But he didn't run. They went to a nearby park, ate simple sandwiches on a bench. She talked about school, about her drawings, about the things she wanted to do. He listened like he was hearing an old song. He was scared of not measuring up, but had an overwhelming desire to try. But then the phone rang. It was the office, a serious problem, an emergency meeting. He looked at her. "I have to go. You promised 2 hours." "I know." "Then keep it." But he couldn't. Not right. Then he left her at the school gate with a rushed kiss, said he'd be back in 30 minutes. He took 3 hours. When he returned, she was gone. He rushed to the restaurant, found her sitting on the front step, crying. I waited. A long time. He knelt in front of her. "I'm sorry. My mom said you'd do that." The pain hit directly. No shield. Clara stepped outside and looked at both of them. "It was just 1 day and you already broke it. I had an emergency." So did she. Her heart broke. Clara knelt down and held her daughter in her arms. "Let's go home. No more promises." He wanted to speak, to ask for one more chance. But something had changed. This time, Clara didn't look at him with anger. Her eyes were full of exhaustion, and exhaustion weighs more than hate. The next morning, he didn't show up. The girl woke up early, put on the blue shirt she got from her aunt last Christmas, and carefully combed her hair. Told her mum he would come. Said it with such conviction that Clara couldn't bring herself to say otherwise. But he didn't come. The sun passed noon. The clouds started forming monsters in the sky. She waited until 3 p.m., sitting on the same school step. Teachers began asking. Other parents looked at her with pity. She simply said, "He's running late, but he's coming." When the last car left the lot, she understood. She walked home in silence, didn't cry, put the blue shirt back in the drawer, and stared out the window until night fell. William, on the other side of town, was in a glass office with investors. His body was there, his mind elsewhere. He tried convincing partners that a new real estate project had to move forward. But his words came out hollow. On his phone screen, 9 missed calls, 1 message from Clara, just 3 words. She waited. Again. He left the meeting without a word. The car sped down the avenues, but time didn't turn back. When he arrived at E, the simple building where Clara lived, it was nearly midnight. He rang the buzzer. Once, twice, 3 times, nothing. But then a window opened. "You think you can just show up whenever you want?" Clara said from the 2nd floor. She waited 5 hours, William, 5. I got lost." "No. You remembered who you are." The words hurt more than shouting. "Let me see her. Just for a minute." She cried herself to sleep. Why wake her up? For one more promise that won't last? Silence fell like a sentence. "Give me one last chance. You still don't get it, do you? It's not about you anymore." Clara closed the window. Slowly. No yelling. No drama. The worst kind of rejection is the one that comes calmly. She wasn't angry anymore. She was protective. William stood there for minutes that felt like decades, walked down the sidewalk with slumped shoulders. For the first time, he doubted himself, but there was still something he didn't know. The next morning, the little girl left a note at the restaurant door, folded in blue paper taped with masking tape. Clara found it first. She read it, cried, kept it. But later, she gave it to him. Inside, just 4 lines. "Today, I won't wait for you, but if you really want to, come find me. I'm not hard to find, just small, but my heart is already big, and it still has room." It was as if she had aged 10 years in a single week. That afternoon, William didn't go to the office or the restaurant. He got in his car and drove for hours. He went through every park in the city, past schools, toy stores, public libraries. Nothing. Late. In the afternoon, almost by accident, he saw a girl sitting on the curb of a plaza. Hair tied up, half-eaten sandwich, backpack by her side. He parked. Walked over slowly. Nice place to not wait for anyone. She smiled. "I like it here." Trees don't lie. He sat beside her, didn't say another word, just stayed. And for the first time, she rested her head on his shoulder. But then, she said something. "I want to like you. But my mom says liking takes time." He nodded. "I've got time now." She closed her eyes for a second, took a deep breath. Then stay, just today. And he stayed. On that park bench, surrounded by birds and fallen leaves, in silence. And for the first time, maybe he was really present. It was raining when Clara opened the door and saw them, soaked. The girl was smiling, hair plastered to her forehead, clothes heavy with water. William held her backpack in one hand and a blown-out umbrella in the other. But his eyes said something else, a silent plea. A let me in that wasn't about the door, it was about life. Clara didn't say a word. She just stepped aside and let them pass. The girl ran to her room, kicking off her wet shoes on the way. William stood still in the living room, surrounded by modest furniture filled with memories that weren't his. The worn-out couch, the crooked curtain, the toys lined up like tiny soldiers. "I don't want you here," Clara said bluntly. "I know, but she does. So do I." The silence that followed wasn't light. It was thick, heavy, like every second was trying to rip forgotten memories back into the present. "She's going to get hurt," Clara whispered. "And so will I." William looked at her. "I'm trying. You're trying now. But what about later?" She sat on the armrest of the couch, eyes down, hands restless. "You don't know what it means to stay. Really stay. Not bolt at the first sign. Of conflict. Not disappear when things get routine. I want to learn. Wanting isn't knowing, and she has no room left for another abandonment. But there was still something she didn't know. William slept on the couch that night. The girl insisted. Said it made the house feel more whole. Clara didn't sleep. She listened to his breathing, to the small footsteps of her daughter going to the bathroom in the dark, to the sound of rain tapping on the roof. At dawn, his phone rang. A serious issue at work. They needed him urgently. He declined the call, didn't move. It rang again and again, until the girl, still sleepy-eyed, walked out of her room. "Are you leaving?" I have to go, but I'll be back." "You said that before, and I will come back." She didn't respond. Just walked slowly back to her room. He looked at Clara. "I have to take care of this and go. But remember, and some things can't be fixed with emails or meetings. I'll come back. Let's hope it won't be too late." He left, drove straight to the office, tried to focus, but his body was in one place and his heart in another. Mid-afternoon, a call. Unknown number. He answered without thinking. "This is Westside Children's Hospital. Miss Clara dos Anjos listed you as an emergency. Contact, what? Your daughter had a fall. She's conscious, but we need you here." The world froze. Time became a fog. The streets blurred. The GPS lost track. He no longer knew how to drive, only how to rush. When he arrived, she was in a small hospital. Bed, a splint on her left arm, a bandage on her forehead. Clara sat beside her, exhausted. She fell at school. They tried to call me, but I had no signal. How did it happen? They say she tripped on the stairs, alone. But she always holds the railing. Not this time, he understood. She didn't trip over her feet. She tripped over exhaustion, over waiting, over silence. The girl opened her eyes. "You came." "Of course I did. Didn't you say that this morning?" It hit like a punch to the chest. She remembered. But then she reached out her good hand, and he held it, tight. "I'm going to stay," he said, voice cracking. "Really?" Clara watched from a distance, said nothing, just saw the two of them, connected by a kind of pain she knew too well. In that cold hospital room, William Carter finally understood. It wasn't enough to be present. He had to be whole. That morning, the hospital was quiet. The girl was asleep, breathing softly while sunlight cast shapes on the ceiling. William was still in the same chair since the middle of the night, his eyes hollow, body tired. But he hadn't left, hadn't even thought about leaving. Clara walked in with 2 cups of coffee, one for her, one for him, even though she didn't know why she still brought it. "She's going home tomorrow," she said, not looking at him. "I'll stay," I noticed. He took the coffee, sipped slowly. "Last night, she called me Dad." Clara froze. "She did," softly, almost a whisper. "But I heard it." He squinted, trying to hold back what wanted to spill out. "And how did it feel?" she asked. "Like I didn't deserve it. But maybe I could learn to." She sat on the edge of the bed, looked at her daughter, still asleep, arm held up in a makeshift sling. "She's still afraid you'll disappear." "So am I." Clara looked at him, for the first time, without the armor, afraid to disappear, afraid to fail again, to not be enough. "Welcome to parenthood." He smiled, small, real. But there was something she still didn't expect. That afternoon, William asked Clara to take a break, said he'd stay with their daughter. She hesitated, but left. 40. A minute just to breathe. When she returned, she found the girl sitting up in bed. William beside her, reading a children's book with the clumsiest voices. The girl was laughing. "You make the bunny voice really funny." "That's not the bunny, that's just my voice. Then you sound like a bunny." Clara stood at the yoe, said it all watching. Her heart, hardened for so long, cracked open just a little. The next day, as they left the hospital, the girl insisted on holding both their hands, one on each side. "You two look better like this." "Like what?" William asked. Holding hands, no one answered, but no one let go. In the weeks that followed, William began picking her up from school. Every day, he brought snacks, showed. Up early, stayed late. He was the one listening to stories about fights, drawings, and quizzes. Clara watched from a distance, one eye on her daughter, the other on him. And then, he asked, "Can I pick her up on Saturday?" "Spend the day with her?" Clara hesitated. "Alone? Yes, just me and her. Do you know how to do that?" "No, but I want to try." Clara was silent for a long time. She loves movies, but hates too much salt on her popcorn. Got it. And she's afraid of the dark in the bathroom. "I'll leave the door open." She took a deep breath. "If something goes wrong, I'll call and bring her back." Saturday came like an event. The girl wore her best dress. Clara handed him a backpack with snacks, wipes, and a change of clothes. "As if I'm incapable," he joked. "As if you're still learning," she replied. They spent the day together: movies, park, ice cream, bookstore. William took pictures, but not too many. Not to prove, to keep. And at the end of the day, when he brought her home, the girl said, "This was the best Saturday of my life." "Good, because it was the best of mine too." And then she rested her head on his chest. They stayed like that. For eternal seconds, Clara watched from the window, her heart tight, but this time not from pain, from hope. That night, William sent her a short message. "I'm still nothing, but I'm trying to become someone whole, for her, and for me too." She replied the next day, "Maybe you already are, a piece, almost a father." And to him, that was already more than he'd ever imagined he could have. The month turned. Winter began to ease, and with it, routines began to shift. William Carter now knew the name of his daughter's teacher, which snack she hated, and what made her laugh during homework. He knew she liked to sleep with the light on, that she talked in her sleep, always asking if he was still there. And he was. Clara, little by little, started to change too. There was still no invitation to come in without knocking, no stay for dinner. But there was less heavy silence, a softer look, and now and then a cup of coffee left on the table. No words needed. It was as if time itself was gently washing the wounds, not to erase the scars, but to make them hurt less. One Friday afternoon, the girl came home from school carrying a folded piece of paper, a drawing. "I made something, but I'll only show you if you promise not to laugh." William crossed his fingers. "I solemnly swear." She opened the paper. A huge heart. In the middle, 3 little stick figures, one in a suit, one in an apron, one with braids. And at the top, in crooked letters, "Family." He stared at it, speechless. "Do you like it?" "I love it." "Then keep it." He kept it in his pocket, close to his chest. But there was something the girl didn't know yet. William had started to rearrange his life. He sold off shares, cancelled trips, took a leave from the board. Close friends said he was losing his mind. But for the first time in years, he was sleeping. Clara noticed the changes with guarded eyes. What if it's just a phase, she told herself. What if he gets tired of playing dad? But then, William knocked on her door on a Tuesday. "Tonight, I need to show you something." She hesitated, but grabbed her coat. They walked together to a nearby corner, stopped in front of an old but renovated building. "I bought this place. It's going to be a reading center for local kids." "What do you mean?" "Free entry, books, tutoring, snacks. But I need help. Someone to run the kitchen. Someone with experience. Someone like you lot." Clara stood in silence. "Are you offering me a job? I'm offering you purpose. You've always said you wanted to make the world better for her." She looked at him. There was something new in his eyes, not arrogance. "Listening. I need to think. I know. And if it goes wrong, then we rebuild." On the way home, they walked slowly, like they were already part of each other, even if they couldn't say it yet. The next morning, Clara opened her daughter's bedroom door and found her already dressed, ready, backpack packed. "Where are you going so early?" "Me and Daddy are buying books for the new place." Clara swallowed hard. "Daddy," said so lightly, like absence had never existed. She didn't correct her, didn't ask questions, just nodded. Hours later, she received a photo. The two of them sitting on the floor of a bookstore, surrounded by colorful books, smiling, whole. But then something surprised her. When she got home, she found her daughter lying on the floor drawing. On the paper, a house. At the top, in big letters, "Our Place." And beside it, a heart split down the middle. Not broken. One half blue, one half red. "Why is the heart two colors?" Clara asked. "Because now it feels two ways." But it still beats the same. That night, Clara stepped out onto the porch and found him there, sitting looking at the sky. "It's cold," she said. "I like the cold. It reminds me I'm alive." She sat beside him, didn't say another word. And for the first time in a long while, they just sat. No urgency, no fear, just together. The reading center opened on a Saturday morning, filled with the smell of fresh paint and brewed coffee. The walls were full of color, the shelves full of donated books. Children ran through the hallways. Clara, in a new apron, ran the first healthy snack workshop. William arrived early, brought flowers for the entrance, nothing fancy, simple daisies. Planted by him during a sleepless night. The girl wore a shirt with the name of the project, Words That Hug. Her choice. She said she wanted it to be a place where no one leaves the same. The first few weeks were intense. The community embraced the idea. Volunteers showed up, families brought in old books. The girl started helping with story time. William, behind the scenes, did a little of everything: finances, maintenance, and above all, being there. But then, something no one expected. One of the boys in the program was the son of a former investor of William's, a man who, upon discovering William's involvement in this social fantasy, decided to confront him publicly. One afternoon, he showed up at the reading center unannounced. Tall, imposing, flanked by two other businessmen. The girl recognized him, the one William never spoke of. "Mr. Halberd." "So this is where the great William Carter is hiding now," he said, scanning the room with disdain. "I'm not hiding, I'm finally visible. This place is a waste of time and money. You were a shark and now you're a finger-painting teacher?" I became a father. The silence was absolute. Clara appeared carrying a tray. She froze when she saw the scene. "You do know the board is questioning your sanity, right?" Halberd went on. "You threw away everything you built." "I didn't throw it away, I transformed it." "Then," the man laughed, "all this for a child you're not even sure is yours." It was like the floor shattered. Clara froze. The tray dropped. The sound of metal echoed like thunder through the hall. William stood still for a second, then took 2 steps forward. "Don't ever say that again. I was just... She's my daughter. Even if there's no blood. Even if genetics say otherwise. She's mine because I chose her. Because I show up every day. Because she saw me at my worst and still held my hand." Halberd blinked. "You're sick." "No, I'm finally healed." Clara stepped forward, eyes fierce. "Leave, now. This is no place for people like you. You're messing with the wrong man." "I messed with him years ago. And guess what? We survived." Halberd said nothing, turned and left. The children stood watching, some scared. The girl ran to her father, wrapped her arms around his waist. "I heard everything. I'm sorry you had to. No, I'm glad. Now, I know you chose me, even though you didn't have to." And then she looked up at him with a new kind of light in her eyes. "Are you still going to leave?" "Never again. Not without you." That night, Clara and William did the dishes together at the center, now empty. "What you did today. That was brave." It wasn't bravery. It was the truth. She handed him the dish towel, smiled without looking at him. "You know I never said it." "Said what?" "That you're her father," out loud. "And now maybe I can." He stepped closer. "Only when you're ready. Maybe I'll never be. Then I'll wait." And for the first time, she cried in front of him, really cried, no fear, no pride, and he knew this was the end of one story and the beginning of something new. Her birthday fell on a Sunday, 7 days after Halbert's visit, 2 weeks before the symbolic graduation ceremony at the reading centre. Clara woke up early. She made a simple chocolate cake with colourful sprinkles and wrote, in crooked icing, "For the bravest heart in the world." William arrived before 9 carrying a box wrapped in purple paper, which he'd tried to fold himself. It wasn't perfect, but it was sincere. The girl ran up to him. "You're early?" "Of course, it's party day. Mum said maybe you'd be late." She was wrong this time. Clara came in with the cake. She looked different, lighter, wore a simple dress, but for the first time in months, her hair was down. Her face still showed signs of fatigue, but there was a peace no one had seen in her before. "Shall we sing?" she asked. "Only if you sing too," the girl replied. "Oh, then it'll be a disaster," and everyone laughed. After the birthday song, William handed her the box. Inside a journal, leather cover, blank pages. "It's for you to write whatever you want. Your ideas, your fears, your dreams." "What if I don't know what to write?" "Then write, 'Today I felt love.' That's enough." She hugged the notebook like it was a treasure. "Do you think we'll always be like this?" "Like what?" "A trio." William looked at Clara, then at his daughter. "If it's up to me, yes." But there was something he didn't know. Clara had written a letter. It had been in her drawer for weeks. She'd never given it to him. But that afternoon, while their daughter read a children's story out loud on the porch, she pulled out the envelope and handed it to him. "Read it when you get home." "What is it?" "Something you need to hear, but I'm still not ready to say it to your face." He put it in his pocket, close to his heart. At the end of the day, the girl fell asleep on the couch, the journal still in her lap, her voice tired from so much reading. Clara covered her with a blanket and sat beside her. William sat on the other side. "You know that with all this, we're not a couple, right?" she said. "I know. And maybe we never will be. I understand. But you're part of this." "Of what?" "This life. This home. This girl." She took a deep breath. "And if you want to keep being part of it, now it's your turn not to give up." He looked at her. "I don't give up anymore." That night, at home, he opened the letter. "William, there were so many times I wished she would forget you. It would have been easier if you had no face, no voice, no absence. But then you showed up, and I saw in her a kind of joy no food I cooked, no story I told, no prayer I whispered could give her. I saw you in her eyes, and painfully, I saw you in myself too. Not because of who we were, but because of who we are now. You're not the same, neither am I, and maybe, just maybe, that's enough. If you want to stay, the road is here. But come slowly, and come for real, Clara." He read it twice, then closed his eyes. The letter shook in his hands, but his heart, that was steady. The next morning he returned to the reading centre with a new book in his hands, a classic, The Little Prince, a handmade edition written out by hand. In the dedication, just one line, "You taught me that what's essential isn't invisible. It was just hiding behind myself." He gave it to his daughter, then looked at Clara. She didn't say anything, but she smiled, and in that smile he knew their story was just beginning. Thanks for making it to the end, but don't go just yet. On the screen next to you is another moving story. Click subscribe to the channel and share it. I'll see you there.